Hello. So I'm attempting to utilize the recording feature on Zoom to better share, I suppose, what's going on in the heavens because I find having a visual is helpful. So we're going to share the screen so that way we can see this chart. So hopefully all of this is audible and visible, but so what I want to do is point out first this new moon energy here in Leo. So this is what a new moon means, essentially. It's when the sun and the moon, from our perspective, are at the exact same point in the heavens. This new moon energy is going to be in Leo. So that means at nighttime you won't be able to see the moon. So what does that mean? It means that there is a truly dark period. The ancients didn't have electricity, right? So maybe like fire or whatever was what they could utilize to see things at night, but like a truly dark period. It's like a time of just completely just letting go of something and then trusting that the light is going to build again, at night at least. The sun's pretty much, always going to be consistently doing its thing, and it really likes to be in Leo, so that's good. This new moon's ruler is Leo, and the sun is there, so that's a good sign. That's a good sign that this new moon is a pretty great time for really going into what it is you want to accomplish as an individual. What do you want to create? What is the territory of you? Like, to kind of go Lion King, where does the light touch within your sphere? Leo energy is understanding that it needs an audience. It understands that it needs like that sort of connection with the community. So that energy is what the focal point, I suppose, is on this new moon. So let's begin there, and we'll see that there's this yellow line leading from that point up here to this Jupiter and Aries at 8 degrees. Now it's not exactly a perfect sextile. It's at 5, and that's at 8. It would need to be at 5 for it to be like a perfect, excuse me, not a sextile, a trine. Forgive me. Fire, Leo, fire, Aries. That energy, that yellow line that's moderately thick is pretty close to exact. So that means that there's this steady flow of energy, at least test it out for yourself. I'm not here to say astrology is true or not. My job is to just tell the stories and hopefully they help you. But this expansive self energy. So Aries is the pioneer, the energy that wants to just accomplish things. So this Jupiter energy is making that even greater. There's this big desire to just sort of burst forth, take up new territories and new ground, right? Chiron is the wounded healer, so it's sort of close to that energy, but it's far enough away that I don't think it's really streaming into that new moon point, which was really what we're focused on talking about today. So there's this trine of energy, this strong fiery energy flow happening. So that suggests to me that this creative time to redefine who it is you want to be and where it is you want to show up and what your kingdom and what your domain is going to be. There's this pioneering aspect. Really try something new. Really push a boundary. That would be what that energy suggests. Now, there's also this energy. If you look at this sort of dotted line to Pluto, I believe that energy is like it's hard to tell on this particular app, but that kind of not quite an opposition, right? Because an opposition would be right there, but it's certainly getting to a place where Pluto is definitely providing some resistance. They're in conjunct by sign. There's this approaching tension, if you will, I believe. It's really digging deep about what it is that you're trying to achieve in relationship to this kind of new version of yourself. Of course, there's always a new version of yourself. Every moment you're really a brand new creation. Really, you're slightly older. You're slightly more learned. Maybe you're subject to a new illness. Like there's just a million different things that could happen. Now, when we look at this section of the chart again, you've got Mercury here, which is the messenger god, pretty close to the sun. Now, the sun is so powerful that anything that gets too close to the sun, outside of maybe something that's like directly in the heart of it, the story is that it kind of gets obliterated. So when it comes to your ideas and thinking and sharing messages, what I would say is Mercury's not quite far enough away for it to be totally out of the clear of that sort of impulse energy. So remember that your thoughts are just ideas. Take a moment to meditate. You know, thoughts are very helpful. They help humans solve problems, but they don't necessarily have to be the absolute truth. So just, yeah, when it comes to your messages, take a moment. The reason I'm focusing on that is, see this very thick kind of line here. It's a square. It's an exact square between Mercury at 18 degrees and the dragon's head north node and Uranus in Taurus. So it's like, and it's not exactly opposite Saturn, but it's certainly, Saturn's definitely doing its thing to restrict and make sure that these messages are going to have a punch and last, I guess. This Saturn's also squaring that same really touchy point. This is really interesting. So Taurus is our steady day-to-day routines, what we're eating, how we are pleasuring ourselves, what's harmonious, what's beautiful. It's like, to me, the most consistent, steady aspect of like our charts. So you got Uranus there, which wants to change it suddenly, just, and the dragon is almost wanting that even more. So there's something about your day-to-day that is in desperate need of change. Mars doesn't want to be in Taurus, by the way. Mars is pretty damn close to that point as well, and it's like, oof. It doesn't like Taurus because Mars wants to accomplish and move forward quickly. It wants to just like fight its way through things. It's got a lot of strength. Maybe not the sharpest of all the energies in the zodiac, in the sense of like up here, it's sharp and like a literal cutting, moving through way. And Taurus is like slow down, stop. So it's just like, I will admit that like right now, this feels so damn accurate. Like I'm feeling this sort of almost like apathy of really epic proportions, but also there's the stress of like trying to find work and all that stuff. But it's like, whoa. Yeah, that square is, you can tell it's like the thickest thing on the aspect grid here that we're experiencing. But yeah, that's a gnarly thing to discuss. This feeling of like really wanting to revolutionize something that you're steadily, consistently doing. There's a lot of energy going towards that, but it might feel kind of pent up and not the easiest, given that Saturn is sort of, like there's just something really gross there. So I'm just going to say that while I don't know what it is specifically you need to do or not do in order to manifest the best life that you have, all of this like heaviness and lethargy, it's a lot. It's a lot. Like I'm tired and I'm not sure why, but maybe you can just take time to literally just take 10 minutes and just completely do nothing. Just like say, I'm gonna consciously like let every single thing that I have to do just like go for 10 minutes. Or maybe that feels terrible. You need to just make a list of the things that you want to do and then start prioritizing them from top to bottom. I could see both being valuable. I mean, but there's this really erratic, powerful, fiery energy um, in this new moon that is being pushed even further by Jupiter, and then all of a sudden, like Pluto wants to give a little bit of even deepening energy, but not in an exactly like easy way. It's like, yeah, there's a degree of I'm gonna call it individuality that we all have that nobody else has access to. So to me, when the sun is in Leo, it's got like its own contained thing going on. Jupiter's trying to influence it, Pluto's trying to influence it, but the sun in Leo is like, I'm in my home territory. I'm gonna do me. I'm gonna go in the direction that I can because I can control that. Everything else is beyond my control. So you do have that like self-contained energy, like, and that's your responsibility and yours alone, just like I have to be responsible for myself. Babies are so dependent, they can't really do much without us, but ultimately they also are developing their own little special soul energy. So it's like you do have that. I wanna say that. That influence that's the most direct to it is gonna be Pluto and Jupiter. Pluto's is not exact, but there is certainly this desire to go deep, like I mentioned, in a very sort of like what you're trying to achieve. What are you trying to achieve? Should you really be trying to achieve that? Now that trine energy is a little stronger to that point, like I talked about, this expansive Jupiter energy, like go, 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 do, being slightly affected by Chiron, but not too much. There's that like maybe like because you've made a mistake in the past, now you're like, oh, I know what I could do now. Maybe there's a little bit of that, but that energy of like Jupiter to the sun and the moon, that Jupiter is ruled over by Venus, right? No, excuse me, indirectly, but let me one step at a time. Jupiter is ruled over by Mars. Why? Because Mars is in charge of Aries and Jupiter is in Aries right now. So it'd be like if I went over to your house, you'd be in charge of that house. So who's in charge of Aries? Mars is in charge of Aries, and Mars, as you can see down here, is in not a good way. um, Sometimes doing things and accomplishing things is very wonderful. Sometimes doing absolutely nothing is completely acceptable. I don't know what you're going through, but I'm just like really, really, really think about what you're doing. I understand that sometimes if a snake comes up, you gotta react quick, like to stay safe. But I'm just like, wow, wow, don't do anything crazy and erratic. Because life provides you enough of those things. At the same time, if you need to feel alive and you truly need to do something spontaneous, then like do that, but like go for a walk. I'm not responsible for what happens to you, but I'm like, oh yeah, there's love in my heart. There's love in my heart. I don't want anyone to get hurt, but I do feel like this energy is not tasty. So Mars is in charge of Jupiter, and since Mars is in Taurus and is being attacked by a dragon and being zapped periodically by Uranus, I don't feel like that Jupiter has a lot of awesome stuff to distribute. Now, Jupiter is always going to do its best, but I would just expect some of that like pioneering, individualistic, I'm going to accomplish this energy to not just have the most staying power. That Taurus constellation, where Mars is, though, is ruled over by Venus, because Venus rules Taurus and Venus is in Cancer, conjunct Lilith, so you can see right here. So Venus is in charge of Taurus, Mars is in charge of Aries, and that's the energy that's kind of doing this trine energy, so that flow that would otherwise be going here. Saturn is in charge of Pluto. Saturn is at home in Aquarius, so there's like this very real restriction and limitation that's valid. Like you've come up against a real boundary. Are you gonna dig your way out of it or not? Like it's not. I love Aquarius energy with Saturn there because it's like of things to get destroyed, ideas and structures are reasonable things. Um, Ankles, I think, are maybe less fun things to get destroyed. Take care of your ankles, people. It's kind of weird once you get into like body part stuff in astrology. I'm not It's a good idea to protect your ankles, just as an idea. Like stretch your feet, okay? That's sort of like a really random out on a limb, but isn't astrology all that? So, anyways, the sun rules Leo. It's self-contained. Now Jupiter, that's giving this trine energy, it is ruled over by Mars. Mars is ruled over by Venus. Venus is in Gemini, conjunct Lilith, the planet of injustice and wrath. Something about your expansive love of learning, of sharing ideas, of tons of polyamorous partners. I mean, there could be so many manifestations for this energy, but it's wanting to feel safe, wanting to be able to bring in all of that duality into your safe space, but there's like wrath and injustice and anger there. That's that energy is in charge. And they are having this like little moment, this little sextile energy. So it's like maybe there's some way to learn how to love that sort of feeling for safety and that sort of not being able to like really go for what it is you want, feeling kind of like pent up and also prodded. Like I'm getting the energy of like an animal and like in like a cage, and it's just there's like something to learn about seeing different sides of things, like maybe asking yourself like, what are the positives of this learning experience? What am I learning about what I really don't like? And if I feel this really awful energy, like I hate this feeling, then perhaps that's really informative about what you would like. So for instance, if I feel tension in my body, I might really like a massage. Or if I feel really lonely, I might like connection. What can I do to take a step towards that if possible? Yeah, Cancer is ruled over by the moon, which is in Leo. And I don't think the moon in Leo is a particularly negative thing at all. It's performative. It's sort of on a bad day a little bit conceited and dependent on applause, but applause is great. Applause is great. So yeah, the sun and the moon, Mercury we talked about, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto. We've kind of done a little bit of a round. I feel like. Is there anything else I want to say? Maybe there's this is slightly positive benefit to doing something escapist, like maybe on a note you could choose to help a friend out or help someone who's struggling, like serve them in some way, or you could maybe do something like psychedelic. I don't know if that's like it is in California, like take a hit or whatever, but like I don't know, just trying to be, reasonable with your substance. If you want to have a beer with some friends, okay, but like obviously set and setting. These are just generally good things. But this is what happens when I'm doing a general reading and I'm not asking specific things. I'm forced to talk to all of humanity at once, which is a lot less effective. But yeah. Yeah, my last reading was not very entertaining, and this one may not be the most entertaining either. I tried recording something with my projector that I bought because I have a laser pointer and I was going to do this whole thing. But the audio quality was not very good, and pointing to the items kind of looked cool, but anyways, I'm using it for my one-man show that I'm doing this Saturday. I've been trying to choreograph for that, so I'm definitely trying. Ultimately, there's some sort of like blah 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 thing. This is my 12th house. Leo is, and it's conjunct where Jupiter-ish was when I was born. There's something there. There's something going on. A new seed is being planted, perhaps in my unconscious, or that would be what the story would suggest. I wonder what is happening in your chart. I don't think I feel like super delicious and super excited. So if I need to dance and like let out some grief or whatever, then I can do that. Or I could try to reach out to friends or my family or apply for more work. There's just this like kind of but anyways, that was the chart reading. I hope some of that was interesting to you, and I hope that I can actually share this. I know it's pretty blurry, but hopefully it'll work. Love, light, and snakes. Bye, y'all.